Hello and welcome, and we are here at the Midwest Management Summit, and I'm very proud to be joined today by Symon from Five9.
Thanks for having me.
Symon, I think a lot of people may find your face very familiar. You've done a lot of video content back in your day at Microsoft, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days, and then we'll talk about some topics about MMS.
Sure, well thanks for having me, Lee. As many of you know, I spent 8 years with Microsoft, technical evangelist, one of the founders of the Microsoft Virtual Academy. So if you guys are saying, how does that face look familiar? Probably the MVA. And I do a lot of conferences as well. This is about my 100th tech conference in the last couple of years, so I'd actually love to talk a little bit about the compare and contrast there as well. Anyway, what do I do now? So I moved over to Five9 Software at the start of 2015 as Vice President of Business Development and Marketing. We make Hyper-V security and management products, so agentless security, a lightweight version of System Center known as Five9 Manager, and so it's still great to be a part of the community. Recently became a Hyper-V MVP as well, so it's kind of very nice to get back with the groove and see everybody again since I lost that leave in Microsoft.
That's right. Okay, so you mentioned a little bit of compare and contrast. So I take it this is your first time at MMS. This is only the second MMS. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how this is different from, why don't we start with like a attendee perspective, and then we'll talk about it from the speaker perspective.
Sure, so I think from an attendee perspective, there's kind of two things that I think are unique about this conference. First is the location. It's actually at the Mall of America in the US, which is one of the largest malls in the world, second largest, third largest. Anyway, it's crazy. So the fact you're actually located right next to that is very cool for the attendees because it lets them go out to lunch, it lets them bring the family for the theme park, they go shopping. So it makes it much more, I guess, of a family thing, less of a business trip kind of experience. I think the second big difference is that the sessions are like basically almost 2 hours long. They kind of start off for the first hour where it's all presentation, second hour is kind of a Q&A. And so what I think is really cool for the attendees is you could kind of go as light, you kind of do like the lightweight version of a session, the first hour, or stay for that second hour and kind of go deep. So that's kind of cool, right? If you're really passionate about the subject, want to speak with the presenters, you have that extra hour, that extra opportunity to do that. At most conferences, right, it's 45 minutes, you're out of there, 45 minutes, you're out of there, and you got to hope that you can catch that speaker. So I think the attendees appreciate that as well, just from the perspective of, better interaction. Yeah.
So what do you think? I know you did some speaking sessions as well. So why don't you tell us about that? Because we kind of got the attendee perspective, and sometimes it's a little weird when some of the people shuffle out at the hour mark to go catch the other thing, yeah. Right? So what do you think about that? And then, I don't know, the speaker feel in general.
Sure. So this week I had 4 sessions, one of them on security, 3 of them around Hyper-V management, that type of thing. And from the speaker perspective, I personally like the longer sessions. If you know me, I can talk a lot, and I can talk a lot about Hyper-V and clustering. So, if you give me 2 hours, I won't shut up and I'll use that time. Now, the only, I would say, downside or thing that is unusual, as you mentioned, is people are shuffling in and out. So as a speaker, I'm like, I know I'm doing a good job, but do the attendees know that? Why is everyone leaving me? But I think, you do understand the fact that there is this kind of overlapping thing where some will come, some will go, some will stay for the deep dive. So I think, once the speakers kind of recognize that and they know that it's not an offensive thing, right? People aren't leaving because you're doing a bad job. I think it's really cool. So I like the way they do that. And we've had some really deep conversations with a couple, customers out here as well that have stayed that extra hour to, really dive deep. So that's been cool.
Very cool. Well, I think that will do it for us. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you've been trying to run a business here on the side and present and speak and all these things. So thank you for taking the time to take a little interview.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We'll see you hopefully next year.
Sounds good.
All right.